Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another episode of Unger the Radar, where we talk all things film. And I have a wonderful panel of guest critics, as always, some familiar faces. We have CJ Oakland. Welcome back, CJ.
Hello, you tricked me into being on this week because we watched a movie for this week that was supposed to be for last week.
I
So you
know.
booked me for a double billing. You got me.
I'm a trickster, but no, I apologize for that. We also have Mr. Forrest Bennett. Welcome back, Forrest.
Hey, Randy.
Love the
I was gonna say,
background.
yep. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that tonight we're only discussing two movies from two great directors instead of three great movies from three great directors.
Well, we'll get to that third film at some point in the near future, I hope. And Matt Roran, welcome back.
Glad to be back, although you tricked me here by locking me in a cage, and this is my only mode of speaking to the outside world.
Well, that's just the way I operate, sir, so live with it.
What if Randy was just the jigsaw killer from Saw?
Wow. Thank you for that.
Jigsaw reviewer, he just locks people up to make them review movies. He doesn't kill them or hurt us.
Well, actually, no. If they don't watch the movies, then they die.
The torture is the movie.
The torture is body cam.
Body cam. So we just had Halloween past weekend. What did you guys do? I'm just curious, real quick. CJ, I know you and I went to that wonderful party hosted by Vinny and Nick.
Yeah, at the Knights of Columbus doing the charity Scares for Cares. They actually raised a good bit of money, which was great to see.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun too. That was a good evening was had by all.
It was.
Yeah. Forrest, what did you do? Did you dress up?
I did. I dressed up as the Fiend, who was the mascot of the punk rock group, the Misfits.
Okay, cool. Where did you go anywhere?
I went to a Gwar concert.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Whenever I think of concerts now, I think of Sparks. That's all it's on my brain right now. It's such a great doc. But yeah. Matt, what did you do for Halloween?
I worked,
Okay.
and then I took my kids trick-or-treating. But through October, Friday and Saturday nights, me and my kids worked at a haunt out in Farmingdale.
Farmingdale, yes.
Farmingville.
Oh, Farmingville.
Yeah. The amphitheater, the Bald Hill Amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that, scaring some people, which was tons of fun.
I love it.
Nice.
That's cool. What did you dress up or?
I was it's a 90s themed haunts trail. I was Slappy from Goosebumps.
Nice.
My whole scare. I did the stiff sitting back, and then when because people are just like, it's dark, people have a flashlight, they look around, it's outdoors. A lot of people shine a light on me, think I'm a dummy, literally like not a real person. And then I get up and start following them.
Oh no.
And give them that kind of creeper scare. And my daughters were one of them was dressed as a deadly bear. It was kind of like a Chucky outfit, but with like a teddy bear face.
Like Five Nights at Freddy's or something like that.
Kind of like a cross between Chucky and Five Nights at Freddy's.
That's terrible.
Nice.
And there's nothing scarier than seeing little people running at you with like knives or whatever. It's kind of terrifying because you don't really expect to see tiny people at one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, people always wonder what's so scary about Chucky, and
yeah, and when you see someone like who's like 3 feet tall running at you, it's fucking terrifying. And
Yeah, there's so many good like movies with like killer kids coming
at
you. I'm like, that's terrifying. Imagine if like you walk outside and you see like 20 kids just lined up outside your house on the street and they start coming at you. It's like that would scare the absolute hell out of me.
It's like right. Kids are terrifying, and like it's great too because a lot of people will be like, "Are you a kid?" Like they just yell that, and I'm like, man, imagine like it was a little person. Like I just kept making me think of that scene in Elf where he kept calling Peter Dinklage an elf. Like it's
You're
just
an
like
angry elf.
I'm like, oh man. But yeah, like so one of my kids had a rotating costume of ghosts and ghouls and zombies and whatnot. The other one was like a pumpkin faced death. Like it was fun,
Good. Sounds like a good time. I wish I was there actually. But I just want to tell everybody right now, we've got two great movies. Well, one great movie, one not so great movie. Last Night in Soho, and we're going to follow that with The French Dispatch. Both directed by wonderful filmmakers, very unique style, great eyes, and I'm excited to get into it. But before that, before the review section of the show, I just want to go around and talk about what we're watching this week, our weekly watches. What are we watching, Forrest?
Let's see. This week so far, I've just been watching Nightmare on Elm Street movies to get ready for our upcoming episode of Nostalgia Time with Kid Champagne.
Yes.
I've already knocked out the first three movies, and then starting tomorrow, I'll probably knock out the rest from 4 onward.
You are a trooper. You are dedicated, sir. I'm only at I believe the third or fourth one. Mm-hmm. And so far so good, I should also mention I also saw Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator for the first time yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Classic. I love it. Mr. Oakland, what are you watching, sir?
Just same old movies. I happen to see Friday Night Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Mm-hmm. For Halloween, I watched that and a bunch of movies. Ironically, the one I forgot to watch was Halloween. I intended to watch that one and forgot about it.
I watched the extended television cut of Halloween on Halloween.
Ooh,
nice.
Is that on DVD?
I did.
Yeah, it's on DVD. Yeah, it's on DVD.
Cool. All right.
But the other copy I have is probably out of print because I got it 20 years ago.
Nice. How much longer is it?
Because what happened was when Halloween was going to air on network television, NBC needed NBC needed the movie to meet a certain length. Mm-hmm. Plus there was certain content that was not acceptable on acceptable, like nudity and graphic violence, even though the movie itself isn't that gory.
No. I don't remember any gore at all.
There's no blood in the movie.
There's very minimal, very minimal blood. But what happened was, so NBC, NBC anyway, it was a combination of standards and practices plus they needed to fill a certain slot of airtime. So John Carpenter shot additional scenes with the cast and crew of shot additional scenes, most of which don't really add much to the movie.
Oh, no. It's kind of filler stuff.
Yeah, just filler stuff.
Yeah, it's Michael Myers doing laundry.
There is actually one. Although interestingly, though, there is one scene that takes place inside Laurie Strode's home, and that scene was filmed in the house that was used as the Nightmare on Elm Street house.
Oh, that's weird. And you visited that location recently, correct?
I was in LA. I was in LA a few weeks ago, and I hit up filming locations from both Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street. Including the Myers from Halloween. I hit up the Myers house, the Doyle and Wallace houses, the bush where Michael Myers or the bush where Laurie sees Michael before he disappears. Also the hardware store where Michael gets his mask and knife.
So wait, that hedge, that's location. Is there like a marker on the sidewalk to let you know?
There actually is. There's a little sign on the bush that says this is Haddonfield.
Cool. That's awesome.
Just as Mikey was here.
Yeah. Also I saw the Nightmare on Elm Street house, which is just like 2 blocks over from the Doyle and Wallace houses.
What's the area in California? What city is that?
The Myers house, the Laurie Strode house, the hardware store, and a lot of the other filming locations, those are all in Pasadena.
Okay.
And also the bush too. But whereas the Doyle and Wallace houses and the Nightmare on Elm Street house, are all in Hollywood.
Good to know. Good to know. I may have to visit eventually.
Yeah, and also Pee Wee. Also, I didn't get a chance to see it, but Pee Wee Herman's house from Pee Wee's Big Adventure is also in Pasadena.
Popular area. I love it.
And Back to the Future was filmed there too.
Oh man. Okay, now I definitely have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you can see.
Really, Randy? Do you like Back to the Future at all?
Yeah, yeah. How can you?
I didn't know you were a fan.
How did you guess? Mr. Roran, I know you're always watching something. What are you watching this week?
This week, let's see, I finished the third and final season of Herman's Head. And have moved on to the third season of Home Improvement.
Part of your Disney quest, correct?
Yeah, this is part of Disney Quest. Classic touchstone television.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's I've been doing that, and just going to the movies every night, watching movies for you, watching movies for myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I see on Facebook like every night you're at the movies. It's
Pretty much. I mean, Monday I did a double feature. So I did one of the movies we're reviewing tonight. I did Antlers. I saw Antlers.
Yeah, I saw that one. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was good. So
Yeah.
gotta see it. Definitely want to see it.
I pretty much try to go at least 3 times a week.
Okay.
Usually I'm there like 4 or 5 though,
Hey man,
Yeah.
we're living the life.
Exactly.
I'm very jealous.
I just wish theaters would bring back. I kind of just do wish though that theaters would bring back Super Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Oh, they started doing that. I know Regal and AMC have like the cheaper tickets on Tuesday.
Yeah, AMC, I know like they do the $5 movies every so often. I saw Ghostbusters on Saturday for $5.
Oh,
nice.
Really? Where were they showing? Where were they showing it?
Brook.
Stony Brook. Oh, that's a bit. Yeah, that's a bit of ways away from me.
Yeah, they're showing it. They're showing it tomorrow night. They showed it tonight also, and tomorrow afternoon at 1:30, I think in Levittown.
Do you know if any theaters on Long Island are showing the second movie?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen that. No.
I would love to. The last time I saw that, I was 4 years old on the big screen. I would definitely.
Yeah, Ghostbusters 2, I haven't seen on the big screen since it came out.
That is the only movie in the franchise that I have not seen in theaters.
Interesting. All right. Very cool. Well, I'm pretty sure they'll bring it back at some point. I'm thinking Alamo Drafthouse might do it, or something.
Speaking of which, I do have my ticket for Ghostbusters Afterlife at the Alamo Drafthouse in Manhattan.
Yes.
I plan on making a pit stop at Hook and Ladder 8 on my way there.
Cool.
So.
And I think Kid Champagne and I are going to join you for that, or the details we're kind of up in the air with that.
Yeah, I think we're talking about like seeing it again on the following Saturday.
Right. You're seeing it Thursday, right?
Yeah, I'm catching a Thursday screening in Manhattan.
Yeah, I'm seeing it in Westbury that Thursday night.
Maybe I'll join you there.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think I'm going to that showing too.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, I just got really happy about that. That's awesome. But we'll talk more about that a little later.
Off screen.
Yes. That's behind the scenes stuff.
Why don't we just talk about that the whole time? Fuck movies. Fuck movies. Let's talk movies.
What are you having for dinner tonight?
Let's talk going to the movies, not seeing them.
Yeah, I love it. But as for me, I'm so busy watching stuff for this show. I really don't have much recreational viewing time. When I do, it's episodes of Mad About You or Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's the theme for my life this month, and I'm not complaining. They're great shows, and season 11 of Curb is now out. I believe that the second episode is on HBO Max. I have not checked it out. Nice. So no spoilers on that. But guys, I just want to get into our first review. Last Night in Soho, Edgar Wright's latest film. It's a thriller. It's a horror thriller, I guess you could call it. It's a strange one about a young girl who she moves to London for school from the English countryside, only to have these visions of a 60s aspiring singer. Basically, it's a trippy movie. and it's filmed very well. It's directed well. I think the performances are what really saved it, and made it amazing. Well, the performances are amazing. The movie itself isn't amazing. And I want to discuss, Thomasin McKenzie, who plays the main character, who has visions of 60s singer Anya Taylor-Joy of the Queen's Gambit fame and other movies. Thoroughbreds comes to mind. That was the first thing I ever saw her in. She's very good. They're both excellent in this.
Yes.
And it's an interesting like commentary on mental illness, I want to say, or like
I guess
dual personality. Yeah. So yeah, I guess go in knowing that it's a little disturbing. It's a little gory too. And Edgar Wright, he does his best, I'm sure. But for me, I think the movie kind of fell flat. I was expecting a lot more. I wanted that Shaun of the Dead vibe, that Baby Driver editing that was like so crazy. You were on that ride. This one, I respected what they were trying to do, but it fell kind of flat for me. So guys, prove me wrong. Matt, what did you think?
Me? Wow.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, it was like what I was expecting, but had a lot of twists I didn't see coming. I mean, it was definitely more of a horror movie than I thought it would be, which I enjoyed thoroughly. I saw it on Halloween night, so but I don't know, like I liked it. I mean, obviously, like, I'm a music guy, like absolutely love the soundtrack. Soundtrack's phenomenal. But Edgar Wright always has fucking great soundtracks.
And Anya Taylor-Joy's cover of Downtown.
Oh,
Mhm.
and then,
that was great.
That's so good. I downloaded it to my. I have it downloaded.
Oh my god, her acapella, like
Yeah, that was good.
beautiful. I mean, I don't know, like I really, really enjoyed it. I think what I like about Edgar Wright's films are, he did his like three, like, the Cornetto trilogy. He did these like comedy, movies. I feel like and each one of those is a little different in its own, but they're all like similar.
And they all and they're all like all paying tribute to genres that he loved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're all like genre parody films, but they like transcend parody. Like, because it's not like like Hot Shots or Naked Gun or Airplane, where it's like joke after joke.
Yeah.
It's like paying like homage to the genre,
Love letters.
while still poking fun at it, but not being very specific about, like, you're not like lifting visuals from films. You're kind of like working with your own paints. And,
he's working with like your expectations of how these genres go.
Exactly.
And I think for me with this movie, like, it kind of reminds me of The World's End, where it's like when I first saw that movie, it's like it didn't really catch me. I didn't think it was as good because I was expecting something like Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, which I realized later is because those movies are parodies of like the like zombie movie and then also like the police action kind of genre. And it's like they were parodies, whereas World's End, it's not a parody of sci-fi, it's straight up on its own a sci-fi movie. It's very funny and very inventive, but it's not a parody. It works as its own sci-fi film. And when I realized that, it works.
It's
and
like
I think that's
it like blurs the line between parody and satire. So Edgar Wright really does that well.
And then I think you have Scott Pilgrim, which is such a masterpiece. Like paying homage to like the video games and like
comic books,
like manga, video games, like comics. I mean, even music. I mean, like Young Neil. I mean, come on.
I mean, Scott Pilgrim. I'd say of every movie that came out in the past decade, Scott Pilgrim probably has the highest replay value.
Oh yeah, it's one of those movies that I went to go see it. They play that for $5 Tuesdays recently. I went to go see it. I absolutely love that movie. I think it's one of the most perfect films of the last 20 years. It's just like, it's so much fun. so rewatchable.
It
And
really
then,
is a great movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like I saw that in 4K when they did the restoration for it. It's like I saw that in the theaters.
oh yeah,
'cause I'm
yeah,
a huge
yeah.
fan of the comics, and
Mhm.
it's like it's the best way you could adapt something. I think it's one of
Yeah,
the
I
best
haven't even-
adaptations.
I
I
haven't
saw,
read
I saw
the
it in
comics
Dolby.
yet, but
Oh my god, it's like Dolby was meant for movies like that. Like,
Yep.
sounds. It was
you know,
incredible.
I saw Scott Pilgrim once in my life, but you guys are really
yeah, I
saying
saw it in
crazy-
theater when it came out. Like
Yeah.
I didn't expect like at the time I was
I didn't expect anything from it.
I was really expecting much. I'm like, oh, it's Michael Cera playing another awkward dorky teenager. But then I sat down watching. I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
I was blown
Yeah.
away.
I
And-
didn't expect anything from it. I was like, oh well, it's Edgar Wright. I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't that interested in what like, and then it really just blew me away.
You know,
Yeah.
And
I think after this show, I might have to watch it.
it's definitely.
Definitely rewatch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's great on so many levels. I just I can't say enough good things about that film.
And you
Yeah.
know what?
But
The excitement,
then-
the excitement that you guys are sharing right now is
yeah.
amazing. And it kind of reminds me of another Edgar Wright film that I actually literally just finished watching before this show started, the Sparks Brothers,
Yes.
and which is a documentary they did on the quirky band from the 70s and 80s, actually 70s
Today.
to now. Yeah,
I
yeah.
got tickets to go see them next year, so
That's amazing. Oh
Yeah.
my God. But
they were one of those bands I've been meaning to see forever and just never have. And then after seeing the documentary, I went to Alamo to see it when it came out, and then like their tickets went on sale like right afterwards, and I'm like, all right, I'm not missing them this time around.
where is that going to be, Matt? Where's that?
Town Hall in the city. So
Okay. Are they
I think it's in
tickets-
like
tickets
March or
still
something.
available? Are tickets still available?
Quite possibly.
Okay. I'm gonna-
I do have a second ticket. I don't know if anyone's claimed it yet. So
hey now. All right.
and
cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, he surprised me with, putting out that documentary. I remember seeing a trailer for it like about a month before it came out,
Mm.
and just being like, oh my god, like not only is there a Sparks documentary, which is incredible, but Edgar Wright is doing it, so I'm like, it's gotta be good.
So
It has to be. And and of course I forgot to mention Baby Driver, or I didn't get to it yet. I mean,
Yes. Oh my
That
god.
was,
Baby Driver's a great one.
just like groundbreaking. I mean, it's
the
there's
editing
so- like,
alone in that
can't
movie.
even.
I believe it won an Oscar for editing. Didn't
No, it didn't win the Oscar, and I
It's
think that
not.
was like a shame because I think
Yeah.
that was the year. It was the
Yeah.
year Kevin Spacey, the whole thing came out. So it's like the
Mhm.
movie didn't win any awards because it was kind of unfortunately linked to
It
him.
was like
Right.
taboo
Feels like-
because of him.
But yeah, the whole movie is
but-
like the best musical ever done because there's so much like visually happening that corresponds with
Yeah.
the music, the characters' actions and dialogue. Like it's so weaved in perfectly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's amazing that he pulled that off.
But you know what? That's what really disappointed me with Last Night in Soho. We didn't have
I
that.
mean,
Really,
I
because
get
there was a
that.
lot of it. There was so
I
much
didn't-
great visual stuff being done. Like the fact that they were able to keep having like the actresses like go in and out during the flashbacks,
Yeah,
and there was such a
that's
melting of of the different realities.
like the
how it could
dancing,
keep going back and
yeah.
forth, and you could see all
The
these things
numbers.
happening in the background. It was like very impressively like weaved into a way that it like made you feel that unease of a horror movie.
And I also like the the ghosts.
Yeah.
It's just like there's so much in that film. Like you feel it. Like you feel the tense like emotions in the movie. You feel like it almost gets claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that. I mean, it's would I say this movie's as good as Baby Driver? Not a chance.
No.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean-
definitely not my favorite of his, but I think it does
Yeah.
a great job as a horror movie.
It's
'cause-
not.
Yeah,
It's
agreed.
definitely not my favorite of his. I mean, when it comes down to it, I would say that this might be my least favorite movie of his.
Hmm.
But
but that's still pretty high up.
But,
'cause
I
there's-
Yeah. Even his worst.
there's so many boring
Even
horror
his
movies.
worst,
genius.
even his
Yeah.
worst is still good.
I think
Yeah.
it's going to warrant a few more viewings.
I definitely need to see it again. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure I will. But overall, I absolutely loved it. It was great to see like a straightforward horror thriller from him
Mhm.
because it's like we knew he could do it. Like it's like one of those things after seeing like Shaun of the Dead and then seeing like Baby Driver, like it was kind of like the next expected level was to see him do like a real thriller.
Right.
And
I think it was almost kind of in a way kind of like there's a lot of visual, like visually it felt very much like a giallo.
Yeah,
it did kind of fit that like tone for how those movies go.
Yeah, I mean it's even got like a scene in a library with the microfilm thing. It's very giallo.
Yeah,
it really is. Like, and that's the thing is like when you think of like those kind of movies where like they can be shot very well, but they're usually like very like boring and typical movies. Like there's no effects or anything like that. There's not usually a lot of interesting camera movements. It's like you can just film like a movie like this as like just boring and straightforward. Like I've seen so many boring horror thriller movies, and this movie at every turn kept doing such like different unexpected things. It kept going for these big set pieces and like really interesting color styles and like visual movements. And
the
it's like
camera is another
like you could do this as a boring movie, and they found a very entertaining like a new way to kind of make a film like this.
I'll give you that. The visual style between the both time periods was brilliant. From present day to 60s and back and forth and like kind of questioning reality, what's the right time. But I think
it's like weird because it's like you mentioned like a mental illness, but it's like it's kind of like in the vein of pretty much every Stephen King book where like, is she mentally ill or does she have the shine? It's like it's like if she was just mentally ill, she wouldn't be able to make all these connections. Like she's got the shine.
Like it's very like typical stuff you would see in like a horror movie like this, like woman who has like psychic visions of things connected to ghosts in a crime. Is like there's so many of those movies, but I've never seen one done in like this kind of style and with this kind of energy. It's definitely a more slower and laid back movie from Edgar Wright, which I wasn't expecting, but I still enjoyed it. And I think like when I rewatch it, knowing like what it is and what to expect, I'll appreciate a lot more of the smaller touches to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But definitely for like a horror thriller like this, I really enjoyed it. But again, like I don't think it's one of my favorite movies he's made, but I definitely think it's a very interesting project he did.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I left the theater, liking it, satisfied with what I just saw. And I didn't even realize until after I checked on Wikipedia that Diana Rigg was the old lady who went to
that was her last movie.
Right.
Yeah,
passed away.
And it was funny because in the very beginning, it says for Diana. That's how it opens, and I immediately was like, oh, Diana Rigg. Like it was just like I'm like that makes sense, and then I'm like, oh fuck, she's in this movie. I didn't even know. Like
and she was awesome in it, by the way.
Yeah, she was so good.
Again, the performances were my favorite part. I think maybe that and the visual style.
I would say the visuals and performance.
Yeah,
I would say for the most part, I would say the story was good, but although I kind of do agree, the last act kind of does, like kind of like I don't want to say fall apart, but it just feel I don't know. I feel like it could have been done. I feel like the final act, like some of those twists could have been handled a little differently.
Right.
I feel that way about a lot of Edgar Wright's work. I feel like his final act is always the weakest. But I mean, they're all satisfactory.
Yeah.
There's none of his movies end where you're like, oh, they really should have done this. Yeah. But like, it's definitely always the weakest link because I feel like he's either trying to extend something or he's trying to cut something back.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this middle ground that he hasn't yet really found.
He doesn't end things well. I think his beginning and middle are definitely stronger than
Stephen King, guy's a master. His endings, sometimes they don't work.
That's the thing. It can be like a great journey just to like see how it goes.
Yeah.
I think probably the best ending he does is like I really like the ending to Hot Fuzz is like where it all comes together.
Yeah.
I think that's the one movie where like the first and second act are really good, but then the third act is like everything comes back in and it becomes like every genre of action movie. And it's like when it manages to do that, I think like that's the one where he really pulls it off.
Well, I think it's because when you're writing like a film like that, it's like all those films are so based on the ending that he probably wrote the ending first.
Interesting. And worked his way back.
Yeah, it's like action movies, buddy cop movies. It's like, because they all they all have that big like crescendo that
They all have
Yeah.
those story beats.
So
Yeah.
Edgar Wright is a master at playing with genres. I think it'd be great to see him do maybe a Western or a war film. I think that would be crazy if he did like a
Something
war.
like that could be interesting.
You know,
I think he's definitely one of the best directors who uses like mise en scène in films now, where it's like everything on screen is like purposeful. There's nothing shot where like it's just a filler scene of like they just kind of reverse shoot between people talking and they're just in like a generic location. It's like everything is so meticulously thought out, and he
Yeah.
uses the environment and everything you see on screen to help tell the story. And that's like it's funny how few movies like actually really kind of put attention to detail into that stuff.
Yeah, that is very true and very appropriate for the next movie that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, the only person who probably does it better is Wes Anderson,
Right.
because like every single shot is like a masterpiece on its own.
Really. And I want to go back to the Sparks brothers real quick. I did not expect that to be so impressed by a documentary. Like I've never seen a filmmaking like that for a documentary format. I think he really crushed it with that. And he crushed it here too with Soho. But again, I need another few viewings to fully appreciate it. I just wasn't wowed by this one. But with you guys, I think it's unanimous. You would recommend it to people. See it?
Yeah, I definitely say go see it.
Absolutely.
I still would like to see him make a full-length version of the fake horror trailer he made for Grindhouse when that came out, Death Proof and Planet Terror. He made a fake like 70s horror movie called Don't, where literally the joke is that there's no dialogue to it. It's just a bunch of wild things happening and the narrator just saying, if you want to go into this house, don't, in big letters. And just some wild thing happens with no explanation. And it's like that. I want to see just him try to make a movie out of that because it was so entertainingly done for all of it.
I mean, all those trailers for Grindhouse. I mean, well, we actually got Machete,
and we got
we did get Machete.
What was the Nicolas Cage one? There was
Wolf Woman of the Elsa She Wolf of the FX.
Well, we sort of got something similar with Prisoners of the Ghostland, I think.
Probably anything better than we would have gotten from Rob Zombie making a full-length film.
Yeah, no, that's the one where like I don't know if I would have been down for a whole movie of that, but
all right.
But Eli Roth's
Thanksgiving was fun.
Yeah. He should actually make that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're gonna take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with our second review, and I'm very excited about the discussion to follow. But yeah, we will be back after this commercial break.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Randy Younger, Under the Radar. Gentlemen, we're halfway through, and right now we're going to discuss Wes Anderson, the great auteur, his latest offering, The French Dispatch, which is a wonderful anthology of 3 stories that are basically framed. They're stories told by this newspaper, an American newspaper
in Kansas.
I thought it was stationed in
It's
stationed in France.
Yeah, it's stationed in France, in
Right.
Amelie, France, but it's writing for a newspaper in Kansas. But they're the French Dispatch version of that.
Yes.
Right. So basically, this newspaper is very quirky. It's led by Bill Murray, who's the editor-in-chief, who basically dies suddenly of a heart attack. And the final issue of this newspaper has 3 stories that are previously unreleased. And they're just very strange stories. And we've got a wonderful cast, a who's who of typical Wes Anderson collaborators. It's a few names: Benicio del Toro, Adrian Brody, Tilda Swinton, Leia
Edward Norton.
Seydoux, who
Lea
was,
Seydoux, yeah.
thank you, from No Time to Die. Frances McDormand, Timothy Chalamet, Jeffrey Wright, Matthew Almeric, also in a Bond film.
Liev Schreiber.
He was in Quantum of Solace. Yes, Liev Schreiber. We also have Owen
Of
Wilson.
X-Men Origins Wolverine fame.
Yeah. Willem
And Scream.
Dafoe, Saoirse Ronan, Elizabeth Moss, Jason Schwartzman, and Angelica Houston.
Edward Norton.
Yeah, Edward Norton, of course. And Jason Schwartzman actually co-wrote it with Wes Anderson, Roman Coppola, and Hugo Guinness. And this film it's among the best of the year, in my opinion. It's definitely on my top 10 so far. And yeah, it's brilliant. It's Wes Anderson. You know, his last film was 3 years ago, Isle of Dogs. So he's back. This movie has been pushed a few times due to the pandemic, but we finally have The French Dispatch. And again, the acting is brilliant. The visual style is awesome, and it's like he's back. He never skipped a beat. Wes Anderson is back, and this is a fantastic film. I loved it. It's so well done. So, CJ, what were your thoughts on The French Dispatch?
Honestly, I think it's one of my favorites he's done so far. Like, I love the Grand Budapest Hotel. I think I put as like my favorite movie he's made, but this is really up there, and it's hard for me to pick now.
Yeah.
Because this one, I think the anthology format works perfectly with the way he tells stories, because he's able to infuse each movie he does with like such different character and using like a same style. And this one you see like it's almost like 3 different people directed it, but it's him all the way through. It's his talent just being used in different ways to tell these stories that are just very impressively done.
Yeah. And he lets the actors just kind of go with it. Like he obviously writes the scripts, but the actors really bring it alive.
Mhm.
And I don't love all of Wes Anderson's films. There are a few that kind of fall flat with me, but most
Like which ones?
Darjeeling Limited wasn't that amazing for me. I mean, it still
Yeah.
had beautiful moments, but it kind of I don't know. I'm probably gonna get some hate for this, but Bottle Rocket, I was not impressed with that one as well. I
never saw that one.
thought it was good, really good. I love James Caan, and
I find Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou to be an underrated film.
yeah, that's one of my favorites for sure. Rushmore, obviously, Royal Tenenbaums,
Yes.
and Moonrise Kingdom had some good moments. So overall, it's a fine.
Fantastic,
film.
Mr. Fox.
I love Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think I really love seeing him do like the animated movies like Fantastic Mr. Fox. and
Isle
Isle
of Dogs.
Dogs,
It's
yeah.
so
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. I even loved actually the short film that precedes Darjeeling Limited, Hotel Chevalier.
Chevalier.
Oh yeah. I actually
That-
like that short film more than I like Darjeeling Unlimited.
Same.
Right. They should have just expanded on that storyline. I think it would have been great. But Matt, what did you think of The French Dispatch?
I'm gonna go like I left this one like you left last night in Soho. Like I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I've loved everything Wes Anderson has done, but this movie leveled with me about as much as Darjeeling Limited. It's definitely like in my bottom Wes Anderson films. Not to say that it wasn't like the acting was great, the editing was great, the story was great. It was lacking 2 things. Well, one thing that is a double barrel that I expect from Wes Anderson movies, and that was the lack of soundtrack.
Hmm.
I mean, we've gotten nothing but perfection soundtracks from Wes Anderson from the get-go, from Bottle Rocket on. And this movie, the score by Alexander Desplat, like, it's very minimal.
Right.
I mean, he did such great work in the last few. I mean, he's done, I think, everything since Fantastic Mr. Fox and on.
Did he do Moonrise Kingdom?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, it's always been, his films are always very score heavy and also very pop music heavy.
Right.
And in this, we only got one song, which was Jarvis Cocker, you know, as a fake artist, which it was, you know, a great song. You know, I enjoyed it, but I felt that the lack of music in the film was kind of like, I don't know, like, kind of brought me down a tier for as far as Wes Anderson goes.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. It's weird because it's like, I guess this movie wasn't as like overly quirky as most of his films, but sometimes his movies can be overly quirky in a bad way. But I guess I got so used to it that this one was a little more subdued.
Yeah.
But I mean, I you know, I still thought it was a great film, but I was disappointed with it.
I would have loved to have seen. Going into it, I thought they were going to focus more on the newspaper, like the offices and like the inner working of putting the publication together.
I mean, I liked the idea that you're literally, it's like a newspaper being read to you. Like, I liked the format. I thought it was very smart. It's something we haven't seen before, and it was very well done. I just feel like there was something missing from it. But I mean, overall, I thought it was wonderful.
I'll definitely give you the lack of soundtrack as a definite issue.
And it was, well, it's like weird because it's like, if it was any other director, I probably wouldn't have noticed.
So you had high expectations going in.
And it's like, he always picks these great obscure like 60s pop jams and stuff. And I'm always like, just like, like, I just love it. And then like, this was like, oh, I mean, there weren't that many. I mean, even I was going to say there weren't that many in Fantastic Mr. Fox, but yes, there were.
Yeah, Fantastic Mr. Fox had some, but I feel like Grand Budapest Hotel didn't have like a lot of music. I feel like that was mostly like the soundtrack behind it.
It had a lot of score.
It didn't really like take me out of it for this one because like I feel like each one had its own like distinct soundtrack to the story that kind of really worked to the style of it.
It works with the format.
I think if you go in expecting like the kind of music like you get from usual Wes Anderson movies, that probably would throw you. But I think for me, like I didn't even really focus on the soundtrack until I saw it the second time. I happened to just watch it today because I could see it for a cheaper movie, so I did. But yeah, like I really like the soundtrack for like how it works for each segment. And builds an overall. And I do like the frame story of like how you think like it's going to be about the paper, but it's really telling you about the paper and this editor who dies like at the very beginning of the movie. It's about his obituary, and it shows like each one is like the reporter telling their story where they're needlessly really involved in the story instead of being journalistic integrity, and then showing how Bill Murray's character has impacted them. And it's like it's telling the story of this guy's life in a very secondhand way. And I really enjoyed how like that's kind of portrayed through the movie.
Interesting take. I like that.
Yeah, I only saw it once, so I didn't pick up on that that time.
Yeah. But back to the music, I just want to go back to Rushmore, Royal Tenenbaums, and Life Aquatic with Steve Zazu. All three of those have amazing soundtrack. The 60s pop songs of punk rock, you know, it sounded great. And yeah, Matt, I'm with you on that. They could have had some more songs in this one. I don't even remember hearing a song.
No.
Yeah, there really isn't. I don't think there was really time for like a lot of songs with dialogue because there's like so much dialogue presented on screen through the narration and the people talking. I kind of feel like if they put in pop songs, even though I'm sure he'd make a great selection, I think it would really have changed the tone of the film. So I think that was done.
There's so many like he could have gone with a lot of like great French pop songs because there are several.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
like I thought it was weird that the one that was in the film was a Jarvis Cocker song, where he could have just had like a classic, like like Charles Aznavour or whatever. But I don't know.
And I just wanted to mention as well the segment in the middle or middle-ish to end, the animated sequence.
Oh,
The police.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. That was a favorite part of the whole movie.
That was a lot of fun.
That was beautiful.
I would definitely like to see him do like a full animated, not claymation, but like
if he did like an animated one in that style.
I think that's the first time he ever had hand-drawn animation.
Yeah.
Yes.
In one of his movies. So yeah, and that was like one of the best moments in the movie.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was so amazing because the way he does it is like every single shot that's animated like tells its own story, and it's like the way he does it, but like being able to like do things even more insane that's animated that you can't do in real life. Like I would love to see him do something like that, because it gave me a lot of like Adventures of Tintin kind of vibes, which the movie Steven Spielberg made was great. But like I would love to see a Wes Anderson do a take like that, where you could have these kind of weird, wacky, like pulp kind of adventures reminiscent of like the older French comics. Like if he did something like that, I would be so for it. That would be amazing.
So he adapted the Fantastic Mr. Fox, right? That was a book.
That was Roald Dahl. Yeah, I always say his name wrong.
And what about Isle of Dogs? Was that adapted or was that original?
I think it's original.
It was original.
Yeah.
I can't think if it was based on anything. I think it was original.
But he really he definitely should adapt more children's books, because he's
I thought Isle of Dogs was just like such a wonderful film on so many levels. And it was like when Fantastic Mr. Fox came out initially, I was very hesitant. I was like oh, is this like Wes Anderson? Like I was like, is it gonna be like he's gonna become like a children's director now? And it's like, it was like, it came out, I was like, okay, he didn't go the children's route. He just made this into a Wes Anderson movie that happens to also be animated, which is exactly what
a children's book.
Yeah. And
it's like, it still has the, all the characters act like Wes Anderson characters, it's like.
but having said that, I think I prefer his live action stuff.
I mean, I would say Fantastic Mr. Fox is definitely lower tier on my list, but I would have to say that Isle of Dogs is a bit higher. Okay. I did really enjoy that film.
So guys, closing out this portion, I just want to go top 3 favorite Wes Anderson films. Forrest, after you, sir.
Okay, I would probably say Fantastic Mr. Fox, Rushmore, and Life Aquatic.
Nice. CJ?
I would probably say like Fantastic Mr. Fox, and then Grand Budapest Hotel and French Dispatch is like a tie for me, because I really liked how those two work. Like those worked to me very personally on a level I really enjoyed. So it's hard for me to decide right now.
With Wes Anderson, he transports you to a different time.
He really does. And like this movie, I loved as like I'm a writer, so it's like hearing like the editor's advice to writers and like the creative people, and it's like that really got me. Like just Bill Murray's catchphrase of saying like try to make it sound like you wrote it this way on purpose is legitimately fantastic advice for a writer.
It's awesome. Matt, how about you? Top 3.
All right. Royal Tenenbaums, Life Aquatic, Grand Budapest.
Nice. Awesome. I'd say, I mean, it's one of the first Anderson films I ever saw. So Rushmore is a solid number 1 for me. There's really, in my opinion, nothing really wrong with that movie. It's just so great.
And it came out when it came out in 1999 or late 98, early 99. It was that wave of films that like really brought back that indie vibe, man. It was movies like that and American Beauty and Fight Club and like bringing all these directors to like real prominence. Like
I would say they brought that. I mean, because the 90s was pretty much the golden age of indie film.
This was like
these movies like that brought that indie spirit to the mainstream.
Yes.
And also, so I think number 2 would probably be the Royal Tenenbaums. And that was the first like film that I think he brought on the like ensemble cast.
That was actually the first Wes Anderson movie I ever saw,
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
same. That was the first one for me, and I loved it.
as well as the first one I saw in theaters.
Oh, really? I saw it in college, actually. My roommate, he had the
My
DVD.
mom. Actually, what happened was my mom, because my mom dragged me to it, and it turned, because she was the one who wanted to see it, but then it turned out that she didn't quite get. I don't think she quite got it. While I enjoyed and ended up enjoying it more than she did.
Nice. I love it. And number 3, probably The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, which was just so bizarre and so beautifully done. Like he created an actual ship, like this small ship, and every room was like carefully, designed, and he brought back most of the cast from Royal Tenenbaums, and Bill Murray was just perfect in that role.
You got Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
That cast is just what a crew.
Yeah, literally.
Willem Dafoe.
I wonder what it was that attracted all these great, unique, quirky actors. Like say Wes Anderson. That's the director I want to work with.
I mean, because they can see that. I mean, he's friends with the Coppolas. That's like
okay.
I mean,
that's a great thing to do.
I was gonna say Jason Schwartzman. He's in all of his movies.
Coppola, yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
but yeah, it's like you're friends with the Coppolas, and it's like it's like he's quirky, and I think after he's friends with Owen Wilson, obviously already. He had
Texans.
Wilson's in his first film, and I feel like getting Bill Murray in Rushmore really nailed it, because I'm sure because Bill Murray does a lot of like weird. I mean, he's a huge guy in like Jarmusch films and like Sofia Coppola. Like he's
Rushmore kind of opened the door.
Well,
Rushmore in like quirky indie films.
Rushmore kind of opened the door to those kinds of roles.
Yeah, that was like his renaissance. I think that was like the.
Well, I mean, he was in. I think he was in Jarmusch films before that. I think right. There was because Rushmore's 99, 98, 99. So
yeah, Jarmusch stuff was a bit before that. It kind of like almost overlaps.
Yeah,
but like that time period, it kind of like became like his, his whole thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like going back like Kingpin a couple of years before, Farrelly Brothers, like
larger than life.
Yeah, like quirky. Like, I mean, he's always done quirky. I mean, I guess if you go back to like Where the Buffalo Roam, he's always been in the quirky indies, but he really thrives there. And I feel like once you have Bill Murray on board, all these other actors, like by the time you did Royal Tenenbaums is basically like, Bill Murray, a bunch of people who were already friends with Wes Anderson are in it. And then, like, Ben Stiller, like, who was really good friends with Owen Wilson.
Angelica Houston.
Yeah. So it's like, it just builds off of that. And then, like, I would say once Royal Tenenbaums came out, I guarantee you half of Hollywood was like, I want to do a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah.
I think it's also just Wes Anderson writes such like unique characters where even like if you play like just for like one scene in this movie, it's like you're going to play a really interesting character. Like you get to do something very interesting. And I feel like you don't get that with like a lot of roles. Like a lot of movies will have the same types of characters. I feel like Wes Anderson really does a great job of making a unique experience that actors really want to work with.
Yeah.
And he always works with like the writers that he co-writes the films with, obviously Owen Wilson, Noah Baumbach, Roman Coppola. It's like they're all people who already have their own like cliques. So they all end up in these films. It's like it's just piling it on.
And I love it. And let's just hope Wes Anderson just keeps doing it. And he has an impressive career so far. I believe he's 50 years old, 51 or so.
Yeah, but he's a young dude.
He's in his prime. So the
Yeah.
French Dispatch is strong evidence that he's here to stay. So I'm really glad that we were able to talk about him tonight.
I'm shy about my new muscles.
Timothy Chalamet was pretty awesome in this. This is the
He was
movie that
great. I love the difference between I last saw him in Dune, where
I
he's
know.
kind of a very like emotionless character because that's by design. Like you're supposed to think like he's this really serious kid
right.
who doesn't really get to show a lot of emotion or do a lot. And then see him in this movie where he just gets to be like
Incredible.
weird and awkward and funny. And it's like I really enjoy seeing that. He's just got like the big eraser head kind of hair.
He's the newcomer to the Wes Anderson family, and it's amazing. He was one of my favorite actors in this.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, definitely a young star to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, I love the way Wes Anderson writes young people in his movies, where like, especially like you see in like Moonrise Kingdom and a lot of those movies, so the kids act as serious as the adults do, usually more serious than the adults in a lot of situations, and it makes like a great performance because so many movies it'll be like, oh, let's really like write these kids like kids. And Wes Anderson's like, no, they're going to be weird little French
We're
philosophy.
going to write them as neurotic adults. Oh, okay.
So good. So guys, the French Dispatch, it's now out in theaters. Also, I forgot to mention last night in Soho, also out in theaters. So check that one out. I wanted to just get into some coming attractions for this week. We've got Clifford, the big red dog, and that should be pretty stupid.
I mean, it's like you can't expect a lot from Clifford the Big Red Dog. I'm just weird that it's like it's magic. I'm like, you can literally just have a big red dog show up. Like, we're not expecting a lot from kids' movies. You could just be like, oh, we got a little tiny red dog. It's like we got a dog that's red. Isn't that cute? And then it's a big dog, and it's like, well, it's big now.
I don't need John Cleese to be like, why don't you wish that he's big and just give him love? And now he's a giant dog.
I'd rather watch the 1994 Clifford with Martin Short
John
and
Ritter.
Roden. Oh, yes.
The voice of John Ritter.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We don't need any more Cliffords. We had John Ritter. Next.
All right. So after that, we've got Apex, which is an action thriller starring Neil McDonough and Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis is still working. He's kind of turning into Nicolas Cage in that.
Yeah, but
except his movies aren't ever good.
Yeah.
When's the last time I saw Bruce Willis acting?
Bones it
because
in.
now we'll just show up and be Bruce Willis, and they give him a paycheck, and he's good as Bruce Willis, but like he doesn't act anymore. He really doesn't.
No,
he's been going in for years.
So that's Apex, which I'm probably going to skip as well. And next up is Belfast. It's a drama directed by Kenneth Branagh, getting huge critical acclaim.
Oh yeah, I've seen the trailers for that.
As one of the best movies of the year. So we may or may not review that in the next couple weeks. I will let you guys know for sure.
Well, I will see it anyway.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely seeing that one. It looks great.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. Next up is Night Raiders, and that is a science fiction film. I think it's a foreign film actually. And the only
country.
Yeah, the only name that I recognize from the cast is Amanda Plummer. So it's like it's a bunch of French names and then Amanda Plummer. So that could be interesting. We shall see. She's an interesting actress in her own way.
Absolutely.
So yeah, big indie actress. So that is Night Raiders. All right, guys. So we have just a few minutes left, but I just want to go around and do some plugs. What's going on? Anything you want to plug, Mr. Bennett?
Just looking forward to this we're doing another episode of Nostalgia Time, and also I'm on a podcast called Inside Movies Galore. Every week every Tuesday night we pick a movie to discuss. This month our theme is Mustache Matinee, where we're talking about movies featuring cinema's most famous mustaches. We just did The Great Dictator yesterday, and next week, we're taking a week off from this month's theme to do some birthday selection for one of our hosts. But we'll also be covering Hook, Maniac.
Love Hook.
Yep.
And this year marks the 30th anniversary of Steven Spielberg's classic, and we are definitely going to do a movie party for that celebration, and there may be a surprise guest. We shall see. CJ, anything you want to plug tonight?
I'm still just trying to work through the pandemic. I don't have anything to put out yet, so
Okay, fair
it's
enough.
been a rough year.
Yeah, I know. I know. Mr. Roran, anything you want to plug?
Pickle Island. So we got Pickle Island in Bayville. I sell pickles. I sell movies. I sell music. I sell comics, video games. Hey, we just got an air fryer. We got fried pickles on the premises. Try them. They're delicious. Yum.
I never had a fried pickle, actually.
Come on down to Pickle Island and have one.
I think I might. That's cool.
Buy
All right.
City Slickers 2 on VHS and get yourself a fried pickle.
The search for Curly's Gold.
Indeed. Curly's Gold. You know what it was? Fried pickles.
Yes, I love it. The unproduced sequels of City Slickers 3. As for Under the Radar, you can check out new episodes every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Also on cable TV channels FiOS 34, RCN 83, and Spectrum 56 and 1996. On Manhattan Neighborhood Network, you can access the show through the Lifestyle channel. So be sure to do so. Also, you can check out past episodes on the Under the Radar YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe and share. So guys, I want to thank you so much. It was a great episode as always. You guys are always welcome. You know that. Forrest, CJ, and Matt, thank you so much. And yeah, I'm Randy Unger. This has been Under the Radar, and we'll see you next time. Take care, guys.